Joined now by Vicki McKenna for our weekly Culture Cast program. Vicki, thanks for the time today.
My pleasure, Duke.
Well, we've got another interesting story here. I mean, the regime, I don't know why more parents aren't awakening to this in this woke culture of ours. But even if you have a black relative, even if you come from a black family, it doesn't matter. You're still going to have to play the game the left wants. This isn't about equality anymore. It's not about actually trying to level the playing field. It is some kind of a reprogramming regime in the public schools. We have a situation in Nevada where a white student, a biracial student, who apparently looks too light, and so he's in this mandatory critical race theory course. He can't graduate without passing it, and it was told that he has to to reject his own whiteness. He refused to do it, and they failed him. Let's talk about that story.
All right. This young man, whose mother is black, his father is white, his father is deceased, was told that if he did not accept and reject and confess to white dominance, he would fail. He refused to do it, so he failed. He refused to, acquiesce to the bizarre Soviet Orwellian world that his critical race theory class. So think about that. There's actually a critical race theory class in Las Vegas. His mother, because he failed, and now it appears that F grade is going to make it so he cannot graduate. His mother filed suit. She doesn't want him to hate himself. She doesn't want him to lie. She doesn't want him to have to be forced to confess to things he cannot change. She doesn't want him to reject and resent his father. And so she's filed suit. You may have seen her on some of the various different cable TV shows.
He was asked to answer the questions, and then the teacher would then scrutinize and label whether or not his particular identities were under the category of oppressor or privileged or oppressed.
And that's being replicated across the United States, where you are expected to confess to your sins, I guess, of being born. And it is bizarre. It is sick. It is, as far as I'm concerned, the philosophical and ideological precursor to justification of genocide or other types of cultural or racial apartheid that the left wants to establish in this country. I mean, Duke, you sent me an article about Ivy League graduation ceremonies that are going to be segregating students during graduation by sexual identity, by race, by income. And this is all to pre-chew the American culture for something much, much worse than this, something that would probably, reflect more the institutions of Soviet Russia or some of the totalitarian regimes.
Yeah, a couple of things that are really puzzling. Not only do they have a critical race course like this in Nevada, it's required. You can't graduate unless you've passed this course. And of course, what the course is a bunch of litmus tests. I mean, if you have to take creeds and make statements and condemn aspects of yourself to pass this course, there's no way that this, I think, is going to be able to pass muster in a court. In fact, I saw the mom and her lawyer on Tucker Carlson, and the lawyer was 100% correct. They've already got a federal statement saying that they would likely do very well with this case in court. But the fact that the high school will not back down. I've got another problem with this, Vicki, I want your thought on. So why does Barack Obama not have to apologize for the half of him that's racially white and dominant? Why is Meghan Markle being treated by the American media and the international media as an exclusively black victim when half of her is white and dominant? Why are they able to pick and choose which biracial people are authentic and which are not?
It's easy to pick, right? Whoever looks white is going to not be considered a victim, even if you're biracial. If you're biracial but you don't look white, well, then you are a victim. And so that's how Barack Obama was exclusively a black president, not a biracial president. And that's how this young man is being called and is being attacked. He looks too white, and so despite the fact that his mother is black, he's a purveyor of white dominance and white supremacy. Think about this, Duke. Think about the multitudes, millions and millions of biracial families in this nation whose children are going to school to learn that the white half of the family, if it's biracial, white plus another race, that the white person in the family is out to get them or is some kind of evil creature, and teaching you to hate your parents, to hate yourself, to hate what you are, where you came from. That's what this is doing.
I don't remember what his name was. George Hernandez. Remember the shooting, the Trayvon Martin shooting? They invented the term
Zimmerman.
white. Oh, Zimmerman. That's right. They invited the term white Hispanic for Hispanics that didn't look dark enough to pass. After the break, I want to pick this up with you again. Thanks. Back now with Vicki McKenna, and we're continuing our conversation about a biracial student in Nevada who was told that unless he confessed his white privilege, he would not be allowed to graduate. And we were just talking about this. And then you got Kamala Harris, right, who really isn't black at all, but is treated as if she were 100% black. Great to see a black female finally in the vice president slot. So all these racial categories. On the one hand, race doesn't matter. We're told on the one hand, there's not a difference between the race on the most basic level. And on the other hand, we're engaging in radical resegregation. This one about, we talked about a moment ago, you mentioned it, about at Columbia University, now they're having different graduations. And one of them is low income. You get your own graduation if you come from a low income family. And that's the only one that theoretically white people would be allowed to attend.
Indeed, I guess. I mean, are white people just simply not allowed to attend graduations at Ivy League schools any longer? It seems there's no category for them. So are they going to be able to pick up their diploma? Certainly the check is going to cash and clear at the institution. But think about this. This is segregation. This is what the civil rights movement sought to end, successfully sought to end. This is Jim Crow 2.0. And the left, again, well, they were the authors of Jim Crow, I guess are comfortable with these ideas of separate but unequal. And nobody's pushing back against them. That's the strangest thing. A story out today, Coca-Cola is going to penalize any law firm that is not woke enough for Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola has now got a whole list of different things that you have to check off on diversity and racial privilege training, whether or not you are accepting or asking people what their preferred pronouns are. And so not only is nobody pushing back against this en masse, but you actually have large corporations that you cannot actually vote out of office, making sure it's almost impossible to eradicate from the culture. So this is from schools, to Hollywood, to consumer culture, to the products you're going to purchase. And I just don't see a way to unbury ourselves from this without people finally just getting sick of it and saying stop.
Well, you and I have talked many times that all of this is contrived. All of this is a step down the road to socialism. The founders of Black Lives Matter, for instance, were trained by the Weather Underground and socialist paramilitary tactics. The fact is that race right now, they couldn't do it, Vicki. My contention is they thought they were going to be able to turn this country into a communist country, ultimate socialist country, through global warming. But enough people realized what a scam it was. The science was too ambiguous, and all the gloom and doom prophecies never came true. They found, I think, their niche, that the one soft spot in this country that would make countless numbers of conservatives and Republicans roll over and not want to in any way, shape, or form talk back is the question of race. And I think it's even worse than segregation. Perhaps to me, the most shocking aspect of this, we learned in the civil rights movement that we shouldn't see color, right? Martin Luther King wanted people not to see the color of skin, but the character, the content of character. Now we're being told, and little children are being told as young as 3 and 4 and 5 years old, that the color of their skin brands them, either a victim or a villain. And the guilt that's being heaped on kids, and the entitlement and the exclusion that minority kids, you don't have to study, you don't have to worry about all those bad grades now. Your skin is a different color, you're a victim, we're going to find a way to make you successful, and you won't owe anything to anybody.
Yeah, character doesn't matter. Color is the only thing that matters. So content of character, we just threw that out and then pretend that Martin Luther King Jr. wouldn't be appalled at what's going on. And I think you're right. Climate change was, you look at about 15 years ago, started looking like it was going to be the left's political theory of everything. And it fell apart because nobody cared. And so now you have identity as the political left's theory of everything, with racial identity at the top of the, of the pyramid. And so they did realize there was a soft spot in the West, as we have tried to move down the continuum of freedom and tried to embrace more cultures and tried to assimilate, if we could, as many cultures as possible into the Western ideals of freedom and morality. And so, if you fought in most people's lifetimes a battle like the civil rights battle, you are going to be extremely sensitive, particularly to the issue of race. So one of the worst things you can call somebody is a racist, especially if they're not a racist. And that's what in a zeal to try to let everybody know that you have either done penance for your sins of history, or you march with Martin Luther King, or you were raised in an environment that believed in Martin Luther King's words. You'll run to the first camera or the first person and say, I'm not a racist, I'm not a racist, I'm not a racist. And so you instantly have people in a position where they're so desperate not to be likened to something so evil that they're easy to dominate with those accusations. And I think that's a lot of the reason why we don't see a lot of pushback.
Well, and also in the news today, to wind this up, there's a $60,000 high school prep school. I believe it's in California. You mentioned the pyramid, right? With race at the top and everything else at the bottom. Their teachers are being mandated, the white teachers in the school are being mandated to teach a pyramid that has, of course, racial issues at the very top. You know what's at the very bottom of that? With the following statement, it's at the bottom of the pyramid. The worst thing you can do. It says, quote, there are two sides to every story. That's now racist. I'll send you the link for that if you want to use it on your show. Two sides to every story is the worst possible thing you can say in the face of these new fascists.
And George Orwell is rolling over in his grave.
Vicki, thanks for your time on CultureCast. We'll see you next week.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Most of you know our show is being censored by big tech.
While this makes it harder to meet the cost of producing the show, that's part of it. It also demonstrates that we must be having tremendous success, or they wouldn't bother to try to shut us down.
If you like hearing truth and common sense with a love for freedom, please join the Patriot Club with a one-time $99 tax-deductible donation. And you'll get this sweet vessel of joy as part of a thank you for joining the Patriot Club.
Etched with the American flag and the words freedom never tasted so good.
All you have to do is visit patriotclub.us and become a Patriot member today.
That's patriotclub.us. Thank you and God bless.